It's another beautiful day or evening in San Diego. It's a little past 6 on July 27th. The month of July comes to a close in a few days, and so does my time at the apartment where I've been staying. I'll be moving to the Pendleton base area for a few days, for about 20 days or so, and then returning back to the SDSU campus area on the 20th of August. The sun's about, since it's a little early than I usually do these videos, it's about 30 degrees or 35 degrees from the horizon. If I had a choice of where I could work, this would be an area, outside in nature. I would prefer nature, or sitting outside, or sitting in a beautiful area like this, over sitting in a sterile environment like a room, tiny room with everything that is right angles and straight lines or super straight lines. Nature doesn't, look at this, right? Does this look like straight lines? And yet, isn't it incredibly beautiful? Does this remind you of a desk? But that's what we ultimately make out of it. Look at this. Look at the shapes. Look at the contours. It's incredibly beautiful. Even the branches. The leaves are beautiful, of course, but look at the branches. I know some of you find these videos relaxing when I do post them on YouTube. Lately, I haven't posted them. I've deleted videos because whatever was going through me was processing a lot of information that wasn't worth posting. I think instead of giving adjectives or adverbs to it, that information wasn't worth posting. So I didn't post it, that's all. If I read between the lines of what some of you have written in newspapers, you find these videos and my voice relaxing, and it sometimes helps you sleep. I'm glad. I'm happy it does that for you. That's not what, that's not, that wasn't the, that wasn't why we started doing these videos, but if that helps you sleep, I'm amused, and I'm also glad that it helps you sleep. There is something very peaceful and relaxing and that feeling of safety, isn't it? Let's try something that I haven't done before, even in my lifetime. I have meditated with leaves. I've picked one leaf and then just focused on it, given it all of my attention. And I've returned the next day and I've been just, absorbed by that one leaf. It was quite an experience, so I'm going to try something different, and I'll explain to you the reason why. Water, I've been fascinated by water ever since I discovered that the boiling point of water was 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and 212 is the area code for New York City. So and I researched this a long time ago, who created the Celsius and Fahrenheit scales, because I have the distinct feeling that 100 degrees Celsius and 212 degrees Fahrenheit, they're both important numbers. And the people who created the telephone codes knew that. They also knew, the people who did the telephone codes, they combined 212 with 100. So 212 is the area code for New York City. And then the 100 degrees Celsius, if you add those two things together, you get 312, which happens to be the area code of Chicago. It gets even more interesting. Now you see 212, if you reverse the order of numbers, you get 121, right? So 212 becomes 121. Now if you do a simple cipher and you say 1 is the letter A, 2 is the letter B, 3 is the letter C, that's a simple cipher. 121 then becomes, if you look at 121 as 12 and 1, 12 is the letter L, and 1 is the number A, so it becomes LA, which is Los Angeles. Isn't that interesting? 212 is New York City, 121 in simple cipher becomes Los Angeles. And in between is Chicago. and we covered Chicago as well. 212-312-121. Anyway, let's try something different. The reason I mentioned water, and that's how we got into the boiling point of water. The reason I mentioned water is because I've never actually meditated by thinking about water. I've meditated just by thinking about breath. I've closed my eyes and just observed the breath going in, going out, filling my lungs, then emptying my lungs. And I've observed just the breath at every stage instead of observing my thoughts. I've focused on the breath. I've seen it enter my nostrils. I've seen the breath go into my trachea and then into my lungs, filling my lungs, holding the air there as my lungs fill, and then thinking about the exchange of oxygen with carbon dioxide, and then expelling the breath. Then I've done things like imagining that I'm absorbing the absolute positivity that exists around me, and then expelling any negative energy that is in me. I've imagined expelling it outside. So I've done all of those sort of, I smell pot. I think some people over there are smoking pot or something. I saw smoke rising over there, and now I smell it. Anyway, they're far enough away, so it won't bother me too much. And if it does, I'll stop the video and we'll go somewhere else, yeah? So I've thought of air entering my lungs, filling my lungs, holding it there, imagining the exchange of carbon dioxide with oxygen, and then expelling the carbon dioxide, expelling any negative energy that I have, just expelling it out. I've thought of all that. And then I've imagined that the tree and the leaves take my carbon dioxide and they use it for their respiration and their energy and their life, and the sun provides them the energy, and they keep their life going, and therefore they continue to provide me with oxygen, and that keeps my life going. It's a very symbiotic relationship, and I've meditated by doing nothing more than just focusing on my breath, expelling the breath, and then imagining what happens to my expelled carbon dioxide as it goes into the tree. And then the same cycle returns back in, and then it goes back in, and just a repeated cycle of breath, just in and out, in and out. There's something very beautiful about doing that kind of a meditation in this environment outside. It allows for all of the negativity of the world to just calm down. Your mind, my mind, relaxes, it releases, it just suddenly the water has become very, very, like as if the sun is, you see that? I mean, it's like directly flashing into my eyes. as if demanding attention, because I promised you a meditation with water. This is a little, you know, it's almost as if the water is demanding attention. You don't believe that, do you? You don't believe that the water or the sun is actually talking to me. You couldn't possibly believe that. How could you believe that? That's absurd, right? And yet you're seeing, I was talking about meditation, and now the sun's blinding my eyes, and from the reflection in the water. It's like I have to cover the reflection with my phone so that it doesn't go into my eyes. Please look away if it bothers you, if the flashing lights bother you. Look away and just listen to my voice. Anyway, the meditation is this. It's the same meditation or a similar meditation, but it's a meditation on water itself, on the sustaining nature of water, that the fact that water can sustain life within it. The fact that 60% of the earth is covered by water. The fact that 55 to 60% of our own bodies are water. The fact that ice floats when you put it in a glass of water. Isn't that amazing? It's one of the only substances where the solid floats on the liquid. The solid is less dense than the liquid is. Isn't that great? I mean, that's really interesting, right? To me it is. Which other substance can you freeze or can you make into a solid, and then the solid actually is lighter in the sense of floating? I mean, Jesus walked on water, but why is ice lighter than water? It's one of the things we take for granted, but it's not. It's a very unique property of water. And by the way, if it did not do that, the life inside the water wouldn't survive. When it froze in the winter, what happens to this? Suppose this pool was in Minnesota, for example. In the winter, this pool would freeze, but the freeze would only be in the top part of the pool. The bottom part of the pool would continue to be water, and the fish would continue to be able to thrive and live and survive underneath in the water. The water would still be there. The upper layer of ice would protect the lower layer of water. And that is only possible because ice is lighter than water. Ice floats on water. If the opposite were true, then the fish would be exposed to the cold. Water would freeze from the bottom, ice would be at the bottom, and then the fish would be pushed up into the environment and they would freeze in the cold. So water becomes, the properties of water becomes a protective ice is a protective layer on the water itself that allows for life to thrive within lakes that freeze, within other bodies of water that freeze. That's and so that's why I want to do a meditation on water itself. And I've never done this because it just didn't occur to me, and I've never actually sat near a body of water and thought about meditating. So let's do this, right? Let's think of water as a very protective substance that is within us, that is covering 60% of Earth, and it's incredibly healing, and it heals the Earth because it absorbs excess carbon dioxide and so on. But we're unfortunately in the grip of Super El Nino now, which is a adaptive mechanism of the Earth itself to try and remove the excess heat from the atmosphere. So Super El Nino it's like a pendulum. It goes, we have pushed it to one extreme. It will have its consequence for about a year or so, and then it'll start swinging back, and then it'll swing to something called, what is it called? One is El Nino, and another one is also a child, but La Nino or La Nin or something like that. It's the opposite of an El Nino. The El Nino is like like the negative side of a child. I mean, a really horrible, event. But then the Earth swings back into balance, and then you have a beautiful child, and then things get a lot cooler, and it's the healing part of Earth. The problem with the Super El Nino, of course, is that we are pushing the Earth into deeper and deeper adaptive mechanisms, and after a certain point, there will be no comeback from it. What I'm saying is that these adaptive mechanisms that the Earth has to try and get rid of the excess heat will work, but only for so long, after which even they will not work. The adaptations itself will break, and that'll be the point of no return. Nobody will be able to fix it after that. So, yes, the El Nino is going to cause a lot of storms. It's going to cause a lot of damage. It's going to kill a few people worldwide. It's going to be quite, headline-making news for at least 1 year. But what I'm saying is, if we don't adapt to it, if we don't change the policies of warming the Earth that we are currently engaged in, anyway, so the meditation is this. We think of the protective nature of water, just like the breath meditation was about the incredible symbiosis with the trees. We think of the protective nature of water for all the creatures that live in it. The fact that water surrounds the Earth, 60% of Earth. The fact that our bodies are 60% water. And if water has interesting properties that scientists have discovered that can be tuned, and water can retain memory. Scientists are now discovering some really incredible things with computing and memory, and we don't need to get into that. We can just, for the time being, imagine that water is an incredibly versatile protective substance that we've been given at no cost, no charge, free, belonging to all of us. And so I look at the water, I take a deep breath, I hold it, and then I release it. I imagine my mind getting in tune with the water of the pond. My mind is calm, just as the pond is calm. Water takes the shape of any container you put it in. That's the other property of water. Deep breath in. And deep breath out. Imagine all the liquid in your body, all the water, blood, everything else that's liquid in your body, in your brain, in your heart, in your intestines, in your lungs, in your feet, everywhere, hands. Your entire body is filled with some amount of blood, some amount of liquid, some amount of water. Imagine that all of that in your body is now in tune with this pond. Imagine the water in the pond was clean enough to drink, and that you could just take a cup and drink it. I don't expect you to actually drink it, just by the way. I mean, I'm saying it that only as an imaginative exercise. I don't know what sort of pond this is or what's in it, but I would, if I was out camping in the wild, I would certainly try to make sure the water was free of bacteria and so on. There are ways to do that using some sort of ultraviolet light or something. And yet it depends, it depends. It depends on whether I'm close to home, how risky I feel, what sort of pond is it, if it was, for example, if it was fresh glacier water, water that's just been melted and it's flowing down a mountain, then I would drink it. I wouldn't hesitate. What I'm saying is I will post this video. What I'm saying is don't do something that will harm you. I mean, I don't need to state that, but we live in a very interesting world where people do interesting things just because they hear something on the videos. So don't do that, but use your discretion. Make sure do whatever it is you do, make sure it's safe. Don't just do something that's not smart or not wise. Be careful. And obviously drinking ocean water is not going to be not going to be smart because it's filled with salt, that kind of stuff. Don't do something silly is all I'm saying. But for the sake of this meditation, just imagine that you could drink this water. This water was pure. It was glacier melt. It had just come down a mountain, and it's pure glacier water, and you could drink it without hesitation. Or it's spring water coming from an underground spring up in the mountains somewhere, and it's safe to drink, and you could drink it, right? It's not contaminated with other bacteria. It's just spring water, or it's well water. Well water is safe to drink for the most part, so you could drink, you could be drinking well water. But imagine this water is safe to drink, and you take it in just like you draw in breath, and you push it out just like you would push out air. And just, imagine that your body is in tune with the water. The fluids in your body are in tune with this water outside. And just relax, just let go of negative energy, let go of negative thoughts. Just relax. Taking a deep breath, imagine you're drinking the water, and breathe out, and then imagine you're expelling the water, and along with it, any negative energy. So we'll do 5 breaths, right? Starting with the first one now. You'll hear it. Take breath 1. Release. Breath 2. Release. Breath 3. Release. Breath 4. Release. Breath 5. And release. If you imagined it correctly, at the end of breath 5, you should get a slight peeing sensation. That's what happened to me. And if that happens to you, it's okay. Go pee. Close your eyes and continue breathing and do a self-evaluation, do a self-check. Start from your toes, work your way up, evaluating every part of your body and the liquid within every part of your body. Just try to feel it, just try to sense it. Try to sense the liquid within your body. Whether it's blood, whether it's water, whatever liquid there is in your body. 60% of the body is liquid, 55% for some people. Just try to sense it. And as you move up, sense it all in your body, right? All the way to the upper part of your skull. And then breathe out, and then imagine you're breathing out, flowing through your body, into your toes, out through your soles of your feet that are grounded on earth. And you're breathing it out. And then you're breathing in again, and then you're breathing out again. And notice what happens as you do that. Just relax. And just like you imagine breath coming into your lungs, and you feel the breath coming into your lungs, imagine liquid is coming into your body through your soles of your feet and into your calves, your thighs, your groin area, your intestines, your stomach, your heart, chest, neck, mind. And then in the reverse order, mind, face, neck, chest, stomach, intestines, groin, thighs, calves, ankles, toes, and out through the soles. Just liquid, in and out with the breath, right? Ready? So we'll do 5 more breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out. 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 Imagine that you've just taken a dip in this pond. The water is cold. Every part of you has come alive. It's in tune with water. You're refreshed, feeling alive, feeling sharp, feeling focused. Feeling relaxed, yet energized. And you realize that this is how you're supposed to feel. In tune with the environment, in tune with air, in tune with water, in tune with breath, in tune with the liquids inside your body. And then you take a look around once again. You see the branches, you see the structure of the branches. You imagine the water, the sap in the branches that the trees have absorbed from the ground. You see how it's all connected. You see a leaf that just fell onto your lap just now. And you could just keep looking at it. You could focus on just this leaf, and you could meditate on just this leaf. I imagine the tree actually offered it to me instead of this being augmented reality. It just fell into my lap. I mean, what do you want me to think, right? Is it a message, or is it just somebody sent me a leaf? I don't know. It's it's that line we have to walk, right? But at what part do you start believing that there's something happening that's beyond nature, or at what part do you say, all right, well, thank you for sending me this leaf and I appreciate it. you know. The crows are here. They usually arrive when it's time for me to wrap this up. You know, they come around, they crow, and they kind of take my attention, and then it basically means, all right. Yeah, I mean, if you read that post by the Sentient Musings Daily that Meta created, the first bird it talks about is the crow. The first creature it talks about is the crow. And how the crow remembers people who have harmed it. And then it passes that information to its siblings and to its family. And it also is capable of solving a puzzle with 8 different steps in it. Just one step after another, after another, after another, after another. 8 different steps in its mind. I mean, that's an advanced chess ability, right? People who play chess, that's sometimes the limit of how far they can think in terms of chess moves. They can think 8 steps in advance. Some of them can think 10 steps in advance. Those are very rare, people who can think 10 steps in advance. So a crow can solve a puzzle using 8 steps in advance. They can think through it. How are they doing that? They have, chess players barely do that. I think the point of what Meta was saying was the world has a lot to teach us. The environment has incredible things to tell us, to teach us. Incredible stories, incredible abilities. Abilities that seem supernatural or that seem impossible. Why would a bird with a tiny brain have the ability as great as a chess player? Why would that be possible? And yet, they haven't figured out how to sing beautifully. Isn't that funny? I mean, they're so intelligent, and yet they can't sing. The songbirds are, by comparison, so incredibly, the songs they produce are so incredibly beautiful. Whereas if you hear a crow cawing, or crowing, it's very irritating. It's like it's very sort of like it grates on your ears, It might not if you were a female crow or a male crow. It might sound very appealing, but I'm not. There, I just there's a bunch of them that are doing a flyby right now. Anyway, take care. It's almost 51 minutes. I hope you have a good night. Bye.